There are some really useful features with the X4 that you may not be aware of because they're not talked about, they're not obvious, or they're just really hard to find in the menu. Even though you can lock your screen with the screen lock button, there is an alternative way where you can still see what's on your LCD screen and still make changes to your shooting mode, and that's by using dive case mode. Even though this mode is meant to be used when your camera is in a dive case, you can still use this for standard shooting. And what most people don't realise is that you can quick access it by pressing and holding the Q button. You can then use the power button to change shooting modes and the on button to start recording. And because you're not actually using the dive case, the other two buttons aren't covered up, so you can still use the standard record button and the menu button as well. But if you're not using dive case mode, did you know that you can still customize the Q button and the menu button to operate differently? Swipe down from the top of the camera screen and select the settings menu, and then scroll down to customize button. Here you can change the menu button to another record button, as well as 3 other options, and you can also change the quick button so that you can use it to take a photo or record a video, access the settings menu, switch to single lens mode, as well as other functions including making a highlight point. But what even is making a highlight point? Well, this is another hidden feature of the X4 that isn't talked about often. When you've set the Q button to mark a highlight point, when you're recording and you see something that you might want to use in your video, you can mark it as a highlight by pressing the Q button. But if you haven't customized the Q button to mark a highlight, you can still mark it by pressing the flag icon on the screen whilst you are recording. And these highlights will show up as little flag markers in the app when you go to edit, so you can find them quickly. If you want more control over the exposure in your images but you don't want to shoot in manual mode, then you'll be interested to know about exposure compensation. So swipe from the right of the screen and you'll see EV at the bottom. Select it and you can then make adjustments to the base auto exposure and make it darker or brighter. You can adjust it from 1/3 of a stop to 4 full stops in either direction, plus or minus. On a cloudy day where auto exposure may overexpose the clouds, you could select -0.3, and this would take the exposure down slightly on the clouds and give them more detail. On a ski slope with a clear blue sky where the sun is reflected on the snow, the auto exposure may underexpose your shot. So adding an extra stop of light in this situation, so +1 on the EV scale, will compensate and will help give your 360 image better exposure. These are only examples, and I suggest you test and experiment in whichever situation you're in. And remember to reset your EV back to 0 when you finish filming. Let me know in the comments your favourite tip, and if you want to get the best image quality from your X4, you want to watch this video next, and I'll see you over there.